What's the stupidest reason you got in trouble in school? For using my asthma medication in class. I was told to keep my inhaler in the office, and to use it in there only. I was told it was distracting. No, what else is distracting? The sounds of someone gasping for air and having to be removed from class. What's worse is kids have died because they didn't have immediate access to their inhalers or EpiPens because they needed to be kept in the office. Idiotic. Grad school. As in, full-grown adult. One of my patients was a chill guy. We had one of those relaxed relationships. He would fist bump me after treatment was completed. The Dean of Academic Affairs did not like that. Got a 45-minute lecture on doctor-patient relationship and how dare I violate that trust with a fist bump. A big part of healing is believing in your healer. A fist bump from my doc would tell me, "We got this," more than any 10-second bedside conversation. The old-school authoritative doctors sporting a god complex have given. Stick to the fist bump and smile. Bosses, professors come and go, just stick to being nice. In 1993, the Flaming Lips song, "She Don't Use Jelly," came out. I was in 3rd grade and I really liked that song, and started signing it with my friends during a double-handed jump roping session. She don't use jelly or any of these. She uses VAASSS's C-line. Boom, is here written up. 3-day suspension for saying sexually suggestive things. I had no idea that was meant sexually. Worse even, no one would explain why that song was sexually suggestive. It was very confusing. This is funny and sad. Don't be inappropriate. Quote. How is it inappropriate? Quote. I don't want to explain it. You're too young for this kind of thing. Quote. Then you must know. I wasn't intending to be inappropriate. Don't talk back. I'm an adult. MEAAA. Quote. I hate when adults say calling out the holes in their logic, talking back. Sorry, I put your brain in a pretzel, but you gotta get your shit together. Fighting. The school asshole sucker punched me and I didn't retaliate. It was even caught on tape. The zero tolerance policy is one of the stupidest things ever. 100% agree. Almost got a suspension for doing nothing. Then my mom, absolute legend, threatened to call the police, claiming the school did nothing to ensure my safety after seeing all my bruises and scrapes from fights. Edit. Grammar. For hugging a crying classmate in the hall. And that one time I typed the word boobies on the calculator in math class. I got in trouble for hugging a male friend in the hallway in middle school. We saw each other in the hall and was like, hey, quick hug. It was like 1 second. In front of a teacher's door, which was open. She calls us into her class to yell at us in front of her class. She said hugging between boys and girls is inappropriate. I asked if it'd be inappropriate if I was hugging a girl and she said no. Then I asked if it'd be inappropriate if I was a lesbian. She yelled at me again. The classmate I was hugging was a girl, and I'm a guy, so that's why I got in trouble. I tripped on a loose tile and bumped into a teacher, causing her to spill her coffee on herself. I apologized and showed her the tile. She went on for months about how I did it on purpose. Even got the principal and my folks involved. For the rest of the year she told me I couldn't come back to her class unless I apologized for doing it on purpose. Never went back to her class. Though I initially apologized for the incident, I never once apologized for doing it on purpose. Fuck you, Ms. Hell, Monsieur. I honestly hate hearing these stories. I want to hear that someone stood up for the victims and said, you are a person with authority over us and you should know better than to act high and mighty. Correcting a teacher's spelling of congratulations. It was a substitute, and it was English literature. Congratulations. You get a suspension. Asterisk congratulation. Clearing my throat before reading out loud to the class. She yelled at me and threatened detention because she thought I was faking it for attention, but I don't see how. Also, more context, I was a quiet kid, so I wasn't one to create drama to begin with. It just made me not want to talk more than I already didn't want to. Edit. Bruh, this blew up a lot. Shout out to all my quiet and awkwardly shy homies out there who feel the pain of being reprimanded. For the rare times we actually do talk. WTF. Detention for clearing your throat. Even if you fake it, it is still a dumb reason to get detention. Someone made a paper airplane out of scrap paper that had been binned. My name was written on the sheet they used. I got sent out the room and handed a punishment exercise. Someone once poked a wasp nest in the school forest, and the whole swarm came out upon the school. The entire school sat detention for an hour. Understandable if you don't know who did it. But that's not the problem, monsieur. We were sitting detention because the principal's son got stung. As it eventually turned out, it was actually his fault the swarm came down on us. I have cursed his name since the day I found out. There was an unexpected whole school assembly grade school. We were all brought to the gym and sat down. It was then explained that one of us had pooped on the gym stage behind the mats. We know who did it, but we are giving them this opportunity to stand up and apologize. If you don't, then we'll have to punish you harder. A. Even to us kids it was obvious they had no fucking clue who did it. B. Ordering a kid to stand up in front of the whole school and apologize for shitting on the stages. Not how you get the kid to admit they did it. Spelling test in 7th grade. We wrote down the words as the teacher shouted them out. One of the words was peace. The kid next to me asks, which one? There's 2 different words. Peace, peace. The teacher said, the one on the list you were supposed to study. That's bullshit. I whispered, peace as in piece of pie. She made us both rip up our test for cheating. Peace as in piece of shit, teacher. My dad was furious, and he was usually the obey your teacher. They have their reasons type. He was like, what if you glanced at the list and already knew how to spell all the words? Are you supposed to commit each word to memory just in case any of them have a homophone in the? Teacher refuses to clarify. Quote, Papa McGee got a point. I had a similar situation with the word tripod. The definition provided was something like anything containing only 3 legs. So I wrote my vocab sentence, my dog's leg fell off and now he is a tripod. It was marked incorrect and my mom was furious. She went to the school with that damn vocab sheet. I understand that a tripod isn't a living thing, but nowhere did it specify that. Ha! Chasing someone with a paperclip and saying I am a vampire was elementary. This is my favorite one. It makes no sense and is cracking me up so much. For saying, my school picture sucked. I had no idea sucked was considered a bad word until I was put in detention for it. Landmine learning right here. Kind of like a story I heard from my monsieur. I think it was my grandmother who asked her mother, what's French kissing? To which she was given the reply, don't you ever say that. And she got grounded. Landmine learning is the funniest thing I've read on Reddit all year. Laughed like I haven't in years. For not looking at the teacher during lesson. I wasn't fidgeting, just sitting at my desk, staring into space. We had a payment system in 3rd grade where you'd get dollars for good behavior, finishing homework, cleaning up after lunch, and lose them for bad behavior. At the end of each quarter we'd get to use the dollars to buy shit at the book fair. Every kid wanted to stock up. Now each task would get you between $1 to $2. Each day you could only get like 3 max. She charged me $20. It was literally heartbreaking and took me a full month to recover. Turns out I had focal epilepsy and was having episodes in class. Got treated like a shitty kid for it all through high school. May I ask for details on focal epilepsy? I am not familiar with it. I assume it to mean uncontrollable bouts of staring or blinking. I have focal epilepsy as well. However, focal epilepsy is a general term to refer to a fairly broad range of epilepsy. In my case, my mind gets really fuzzy and I'm only partly aware of what's going on. I still have control of my body and can respond to people talking to me. I got in trouble for cheating on one of my math exams. The teacher found a piece of paper in my pencil case. I got sent to the principal's office. When the principal asked me about what I wanted to say in my defense, I simply told him to take a look at the note. It turned out to be a shopping list. I was allowed to retake the exam the following week. My friend got in trouble for this when he was actually writing a list of weird events to happen in something he was into at the time. Can't quite remember what. The teacher demanded to see the note, then read a list containing items along the lines of Greg set fire to the hospital, and Greg proceeded to shoot Lindsay, and the ghost of Lindsay haunted the rest of the people on the island. I got ISS. In school suspension. Basically detention during school hours. For being in a food fight even though I wasn't. They said I was a part of it because I dropped some crumbs from my cupcake onto the floor. Zero tolerance policy, baby. This reminds me of the time I slipped and fell into somebody else's puddle of juice. The very mean cafeteria lady gave me a mop and made me clean it up. She wouldn't let me change and didn't care that I got hurt. I was like 5 or 6 too. I apparently sighed loudly when a TA who knew she wasn't very popular walked in the room. Monsieur, I was talking to a friend the opposite side of my table. Was this in high school? Well, secondary school in the UK. IDK. What's going on in the States with years or grades or whatever? In middle school, some kids were stomping on caterpillars during recess. I took a Ziploc bag from my lunch and put as many caterpillars in it as I could to rescue them by taking them somewhere else. I fast walked to get away fairly quickly without making a scene. A teacher stopped me and accused me of running and shoving. I didn't touch anyone at all. And when she saw the bag, she gave me a look of utter disgust. I got lunch detention for it. I ultimately switched out of that school because the staff had it in for me for some mental health issues and quirks that I later discovered was Asperger's syndrome. Edit. This is my most upvoted comment ever by miles. Thanks. At least something good came of that awful school. I'll give a bonus. One of the science teachers was caught with child porn on his computer during class. A kid called the cops. Ultimately, the district moved him to a different school. Had serious concentration issues when I was younger. I now know this was likely ADHD or something similar. Used to get detentions all the time for daydreaming and not finishing work when I was uncontrollably zoning out. Got yelled at all the time for it, and I never understood why everyone was angry at me. I couldn't understand where time was just disappearing to when I zoned out. Never got help for it? Teachers are sometimes assholes. I threw a closed pen to my friend who was like 3 feet away from me. And the teacher freaked out. He made a big deal out of it in front of the whole class for a solid 5 minutes. And then emailed my parents. Luckily my mom was able to see my side of things and she said, "Doesn't that teacher have better thing to do than email me about my child throwing pens?" We still laugh about it from time to time. Where I feel I tried to wake my sleeping friend up by gently throwing a pen at his back cause he was called. The teacher lectured me for about 1/4 the class time. In middle school, the bell to send us home didn't go off on time. We were all standing by the door waiting to leave when all the other classrooms started leaving to go home. The hallways were filled and teachers were telling people goodbye. So my classroom started to leave too. I was one of the first ones out, but apparently our teacher caught the end half of the class and made them sit down and tell them everyone who walked out the door because I dismiss you, not the bell. So all of us who left like the rest of the school got detention. I dismiss you, not the bell. Asterisk. Then why the hell does the bell exist? Asterisk. If it decides when you come, it decides when you leave. Schools hate kids who defy teachers, even if they're technically following the rules. One time the bell rang and a kid started to leave. The teacher said, "Don't leave yet," but he still walked out. Greater than the teacher said, "Don't leave yet," but he still walked out. The hero we all wish we could be. Trying to start a fire. which led to me getting an hour detention and having to stay for the rest of the lesson in isolation. But why did they think I tried to start a fire? 'Cause in a science lesson I rubbed two sticks together. Edit. WTF, how have I got nearly 1,000 upvotes? Damn, this is the most I've ever got, so thanks. That sounds like a valid reason to get in. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.